Organizing methods in the steel industry, obviously, this is more of a union model, but I think the individual recruitment is a good system, the chain system, where people recruit others in. You do your power map, and then you have them do theirs, and then the people they recruit do theirs, and start pulling in the people. And when you're marking it, it's like the star means that the person's a decision maker or an influencer, and a box means that they're on your side, and an X means that they're opposed, right? And you can start mapping it out, and you can be smarter and not harder, like was said earlier, right? Open recruitment, right? You have public meetings, things like that, where people can come. You need to be able to enroll people, right? If someone wants to volunteer, you need to get them involved right now, right? I tell people who are doing volunteer engagement, maybe 1 in 10 will respond back. Maybe 1 in 100 will show up and do work, will do something, and maybe 1 in 1,000 will actually organize for you. Well, it will be there over time and will sustain, right? I've had people whose email hit my inbox. I responded within 5 minutes and never heard back. Right? You've got to be able to direct people to positive action as soon as you get them. Right? You can't leave them in limbo like, oh, well, there's a lot of things you can do. I don't know. And you need direct ideas. You need to get people plugged in. You need to find out what. And it's another problem we have with volunteer boxes or volunteer forms. People check every box, right? Like you need to have a conversation like, oh, you click social media. Do you mean you do graphic design? Do you mean you're a copywriter? Do you mean SEO and algorithms? There's a lot of different things that could mean when you click it. And so you need to have those conversations, and going all the way back to Abby Hoffman at the beginning, right? You've got to engage people immediately and in something that they're actually interested in. Because if everybody that comes in gets thrown into phone banking, and the idea is that if they phone bank them, they can go somewhere else, you're going to lose most people that would do good work other places, right? So you've got to onboard people. Mass agitations, right? Slogans, printed materials, radio, podcasts, mass meetings. One mass meeting is better than a dozen indifferent ones, right? If you keep having lackluster meetings, people will stop coming. And it's extraordinarily important that we're doing education work, at this time, and especially in our, in America, in U.S. society. It's really, there's a lot of things we've got to overcome in terms of propaganda, and I think the education is important too, because there's a pitfall with slogans, right? And that's that you get trapped in it. You become AOC and you run on Abolish ICE, and then you vote to fund them, right? If you're going to be using these slogans, you've got to be able to go beyond them, which means, and you've got to be able to get the public beyond them, right? The slogan gets their interest, but then you've got to be doing education work on the actual, policy behind the slogan. And our modern capitalist news cycle does not want to go anywhere beyond a slogan, so you're going to have to do it yourself.
Sorry.
Go ahead. I was going to ask if you had anything.
Yeah, I was going to point out the end there, right? Educational programming. That links back to what we said on the very first slide, I think, about organizing. That, organizing is about educating and training and teaching other people to organize in their communities. And I think that's an important aspect of this. We're asking people to once we've recruited them and onboarded them and gotten them comfortable, then we ask them to go and recruit others and to teach them and to spread out in that manner. That's a great way to build an organization that you start small, but you can grow pretty quickly once this has gotten off the ground. For the open recruitment here, I think that's an important thing for folks to keep in mind, that you want to have projects or whatever. You want to have that conversation with people to know what their interests are, so that you can funnel them to the projects that would be interesting to them, because everybody comes from a different background and has different skills and interests. Some people want to be much more adversarial with their direct actions. Some people might want to run for office. Some people don't want to be in the spotlight, so they won't run for office, but they might be a great campaign manager or treasurer or something like that, somebody a little bit more behind the scenes. So you want to talk to people and get a feeling for what they want to be involved in, and then quickly get involved in that in some way. So that means when you're setting up your organization, you should have some kind of paths, ladders, and all that. You can separate people and decide, notify them of things that they might be interested in, but not overwhelm them with all of the stuff that they might not be interested in. And
And
once
when you
you
find a
have that,
lawyer, never
find a
let
lawyer.
them go.
Yeah, true. So the last thing I wanted to kind of point out about that is this is something that I always kick myself for whenever we have some kind of event. We'll have some kind of educational event or green drinks or whatever it is. It'll go great. People will come and they'll enjoy themselves and they'll learn things and they'll say, what do I do next? And then I think, oh, I forgot to print a page or something so that you could sign up and give me your email address or contact information or whatever. So I think part of it is not only having things to funnel people to, but also just always be prepared with that, right? That you're prepared to collect their information and get them involved in the organization as quickly as possible. And it should look fairly professional. If you got to like dig in your wallet, right, and you pull out some crumpled piece of paper, and you're like, oh, let me write this down. That's not necessarily giving a good first impression. That was also on a slide before, right? That especially if you're meeting new people who want to feel like their actions are accomplishing something, they're looking for that good first impression. And if it's not a good first impression, they might say, I don't know about this. But if you're prepared with that clipboard and it's a clipboard and a pen and information, and you can give them a pamphlet and you could say there's a rally on Saturday that I think was perfect for you based on our conversation, then then they're excited and they will come and they will be involved.